Hello everyone, and welcome to our Circle and Salve Women. Today we are going to discuss planting seeds for my one-on-one, being open, being vulnerable talk with you. And so when I say planting seeds, I do not mean physically planting seeds. These are hopes and dreams and aspirations and promises that we have given ourselves even as a child. And the two that I will be speaking of was one when I was a child, and then as I grew up to be in seventh, well, I guess it would be more as I grew up and became older. When I was in junior high, I yet had another promise to myself that I planted, and yet both came to life, came to reality, really teaching me about faith in that whatever it is that you plant, it doesn't matter that it takes so long. Even if you have forgotten about it, it will sprout. And all of a sudden you'll look and go, wow, this really does happen. So the very first one that I want to share with you was when I was back in 5th grade. Now, again, if you've heard my other videos or read my articles, I have stated to you and mentioned that I've gone to 6 different elementary schools. So at this point, this time I had gone to 5. And I would always walk to a friend's home. Now, I didn't like that many, I wasn't that kind of person to want a lot of people in my life, but it's always nice to have like that company, right? Going to school. Her home was an apartment complex, was a little bit further from where I'd lived at that time, but at least gave me some company going to school. So I would walk over to her place and then we would walk together to school. But what would strike to me as something remarkable within this walk every time would be this one house. It was a white house. In my mind, not having owned any house or lived in a home that we had owned in America from the time that we had arrived here, there were always certain homes that would strike to my heart as something warm, like making me think like, wow, I could see myself living there, and this would be such a beautiful home to live into, and it wouldn't even have to be huge. It would just be something that was inviting, that looked peaceful. There was something about it. And so there was this one home that to me looked like a miniature White House, but very, wooden white home. And what really made it stand out was this red paved stairway, and it just cemented but painted red. And I just thought to myself, wow, so different from anything in this block or anything I've ever seen. Who would paint their pavement, their front entrance red, and just bright red to add? So every time I would walk over to her apartment complex and we would walk past it again going to school, this was the home. I would remember any other homes other than this one all that time. So that was the year, in my 5th grade year. And I had said to myself, if it would be any home, I would live in this one. And I always felt a sense of connection to this home. I always felt like it knew me, like it would just sit there and look at me, as if it would wait for me as I would walk by, and look at me again as I would pass by it once more. And so it didn't dawn to me that it was ever going to revisit my life ever again. It was just one of those things that you had buried inside your mind, kind of said, oh, that would be really nice. It was like the very first home that I thought to myself, it would be really nice to, live in that home. And lo and behold, so as I was dating my husband, and this was like the end of my, high school year, and he wanted me to meet his grandparents. So, we're driving through the certain areas of where I'd lived, many different areas. And as we approached this one area, I remember in the city, I was thinking to myself, oh gosh, memories are starting to really come to mind of living in this area. And we're driving and we passed some homes, and I was like, wow, this is really starting to look like some memories that I can recall in 5th grade. And then I was like, oh, there's that apartment complex that my friend had lived in. And we turned the corner, I go, whoa, this is kind of funny, because I remember walking through this block, during that year all the time, and this specific sidewalk. And I'm looking at the sidewalk, and all of a sudden I felt my husband's car slow down. And I'm like wondering, like, why did he stop? And so he parks, and I mean, I was taken by awe. I really couldn't speak, because as I look up, there goes that one white house. No other houses in that block, even, probably even in that entire neighborhood and the place that we live, that I could recall other than that one white house. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I still remember that house. I remember that was the one. I said it wouldn't be so nice to, you know, live in that home, or I bet you that home would be so peaceful, and I wonder who lived in it. I mean, just so many things that would, you know, come to mind as I would walk past it all the time. And as he helps me to get out the car, I'm walking, and we're walking, he's starting to then approach this very same home, and I'm like, wait, where are we going? And he says, to my mom, my grandma and my grandpa's house. And I go, this house? And he's like, yes. And so I didn't tell him until, of course, after I met his grandparents, why I was just perhaps taken by so much awe and rather speechless and not really saying much, because that whole time that I met his grandparents, and I hope I said some very kind words and I was attentive to anything that they were saying, I honestly couldn't remember, because I was still, my mind was still right in front of that home, where I finally got to go up to those steps and go into the home. And it was like talking to me like, knew you all along, just waiting for you to come in. And so there's my first story, just letting you know that the things that you know, plant seeds into your mind, you don't realize that it was that seed, that it was more likely knowing you, like it belonged to you. It was, you were that person who was really going to reap what you sowed. And that connection of realizing that I was going to marry the man whose grandparents lived in that home, it's just amazing. Of all the homes in this world, you know, in the city that we lived in, and in that block during that time, and I married the man who you know, had grandparents living in that home. First story. Next one is when I was in 7th grade. Again, you know, 6 different elementary schools. At this time, my first junior high school, then eventually it turned out where I ended up attending 2 different junior high schools. But this very first one was in a community that was highly affluent, just, you know, upper middle class. And I was being bused to this community, like 45 minutes to go there and then 45 minutes coming back. I would have this one bus driver, though. His name was Channing, just remarkable, just such a kind-hearted bus driver. And he would be getting off of his city bus shift every time after school. And what he would do is he would save us bus passes. And perhaps this was dishonest, you know, maybe on his part, not such a good way of thinking about a person. And yet he, in his mind, was thinking about us, who probably didn't even have any money at all in junior high to do anything. And so he would actually give us the bus pass that would allow us then to walk like 2 blocks down to take the city bus and then head off to downtown. And so this was kind of like an excursion for many people, many students who did not want to go home to the same, you know, immobility and lifestyle and so forth. You know, here you're around such great affluence, and then you were getting bused to your community where nothing hardly ever moved, and there was really hardly any change. And so, not that, again, to get dramatic about it, but it was just always fun to get on the bus, go to downtown with some friends, and then head back home. So at this point, I remember one time we were on this bus, and some of the neighborhood kids from our, you know, middle class families. I remember these 2 students who were reputably more affluent than many other people in the school. They went they were on that bus. And I remember them having a conversation just because, you know, they were new voices to me, and I was sitting by myself and just listening into what they were saying. And I recall them saying to me, or pardon me, to each other, oh, you know, that's the restaurant Canlis. And I was like, you know, my ears rung. The reason why they rung is because the other times I've ridden this bus, I would see that same restaurant at the top of the hill. And, you know, in my mind, I never wanted to ask him, how do you say that restaurant, you know? And so I knew the spelling of it. I just wanted to make sure to pronounce it correctly as I would look at this restaurant and just admire it, because, you know, coming from a background where honestly fast foods was like the fanciest restaurants we've ever been to, or maybe a buffet at one time in our life, there was really, when we came to America, there was nothing more than that. And so I could only picture what it looked like on the inside based off of anything else that I might have seen at school, or maybe passed through a magazine. We never had fancy magazines at home. And so I remember one of them saying, you know, oh, my parents have dined there before, and it's so expensive. And that didn't faze me, though. It's funny because as soon as she said that, honestly, it was just like hearing that one line from Pretty Women. And, you know, for me, I wasn't affected by it. It was more giving me an opportunity to have a reflection in silently to myself and saying, oh, well, then that means I'm going to eat there one day. And I had made a promise to myself of that. But, you know, as time goes on, so many other promises you make for yourself, so many things that go on in life, and you just, again, there's that other seed that you go ahead and put under the ground, and you just think to yourself, okay, naturally the water's going to, you know, water it, and the sun's going to shine upon it, and so forth, and it's just going to sprout, and then it's going to go, right? In your mind, you're thinking to yourself, I made that promise, it'll come in time. And again, didn't think anything of it. And I remember, I want to say that it was, you know, just many, many birthdays later when I was married to my husband. By this time we had our 3 children already. And he's the romantic. He's always about the one taking me to dinner and taking me somewhere special, you know, and this is something that he enjoys doing and planning out. And so I was like, okay, you know, wherever you want to take me, we'll go. And so I put on the outfit that I felt that, you know, would honor him, and to thank him for taking me out and so forth, and being, you know, going out together without the kids. And I remember driving up, it's, again, so amazing that the seeds that you plant that you forget about. I really feel like that squirrel that forgets where you plant your seeds. And then all of a sudden we're driving, and I'm like passing by the water area, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I guess we're not going to any of those restaurants, you know, that we've frequented before. And we're starting to drive up the hill, and I'm like, one of those moments where I go, oh, this is starting to look really familiar to me. And these memories, again, you got to remember, I've gone to so many different schools and lived in many different neighborhoods and have driven to many different neighborhoods. So for me, it's always interesting to recall memories. And I go, oh, I remember riding the bus here, and yeah, I remember, you know, this restaurant that was up the hill, and we're getting closer and getting closer, and we start driving up to this restaurant, and I'm thinking, okay, this is interesting. And all of a sudden he pulls into the driveway, and then we get out, and I again am at awe. I'm like, what is going on? Why is this happening right now? I had not told my husband anything about that restaurant at all whatsoever. In fact, it was a forgotten restaurant in my memory. I don't know why. I really felt like maybe it's because it was so dear to me, you know, that it was such a secret in my heart that I'd never shared it with anyone. And so as we're getting out and we're walking in to the front steps, you know, the front entrance, everything just becomes like this miraculous feeling of awe, like I am totally flabbergasted, don't know what to say. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I know I put on this nice outfit, but am I now starting to feel like underdressed? How am I supposed to be? Like, this is a dream come true. Am I dressed for my dream? You know, as it's coming true right before me. I'm not saying anything, you know, like I don't even know if I recall really stating to my husband, you don't know how much this restaurant means to me. And I know I did as the evening progressed, but I can't remember when, because I, again, was just taken by so much surprise, overwhelmingly, all at the same time. And I'm walking, you know, in this restaurant, and we take our seats, and I'm sitting down, and you know, I am just I'm trying my best to feel like I am playing the part in this fairy tale that I had set myself up a long time ago when I was in junior high. So that was like, what, 20 years, you know, before this very moment. I'm sitting down, and I don't drink, you know, I really don't, but it was my birthday, and I really felt like it was you know, a way again to honor my husband. And I think at that time it gave me a celebratory feeling to be able to explain to him, you have no idea, you hit the spot of the restaurant. I never told you how much this meant to me. And he was like, oh my gosh, I never knew. I couldn't even think of a restaurant at all, because he had really taken me to some very nice other restaurants that he had known. And so this was something that was priceless to me. In addition, in this me being God believing, I feel like this is when he laughs and goes, not done, not done. And so my good friend from high school walks out, you know, into the dining area, and he sees me, and he recognizes my husband because he had met him when I was in, you know, when we were first starting to date. And so, you know, many years later, and then we just had a reunion several years ago and so forth. So they recognized each other, and they greeted. And all of a sudden, out of Todd's mouth, out of the kindness of his heart, don't know why he made this decision, but it was, he till this day doesn't know how much of an icing he put on that day, you know, for me, because I was already on this cloud. And he asked us, would you like a tour of, you know, the restaurant? I'm like, okay, you know, yes, you know, and I'm going and I'm rambling about, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if I seemingly, you know, I'm not able to articulate myself because, you know, you should know I don't drink, but today's my birthday, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he's just so kind to just wait and for me to finish. And then finally I'm like, yes, I would love to, you know. And so my husband and I are being led by Todd. He's walking us through the dining area, and we go to the kitchen. And some people are like, it's the kitchen of a restaurant. This is my dream. You have to understand, one of the things that I had planted as a kid that other people were like, it's so expensive, you know, like, and I said to myself, well, then one day I'm going to sit there and eat, and just silently to myself. And so I'm walking through this kitchen, seeing where all the magic happens. And he's telling people, oh, I'm just walking my friends to see the restaurant, taking them for a tour, and they're like kindly nodding and so forth. And I know he doesn't do this it doesn't happen to just anybody. And here I am walking through this fabulous, exquisite restaurant that is dear to my heart, is priceless already just having dined there. And yet I get to walk through the back of it. And I'm walking through, and he's taking me some private places, secret places that, you know, people have proposed to, you don't even know exist unless you asked about it. And by the time I'm back to my seat, I don't even know what to tell you. I am just, you know, that living testimony. The only way I can end today's talk is that, you know, when you plant that seed, when you dream, when you make a promise to yourself, when you say that it's going to happen and you have faith, God just has so much fun with that. It's always his time and not yours. Mind you, this was probably 2 decades by the time I got to sit in that restaurant, but it was his way of saying, I just wanted to make it perfect for you. And not only did he make it perfect for me, but he went above and beyond to what I had placed in my heart. So in the words of my mother, everyone, God bless us all. I'm all about trying to send the light and never about any darkness. I hope not. In making you understand that you don't give up. You don't make it your time. You just plant those seeds, and then you really do the goodness in life, one step, one moment at a time. And you're never going to be at your 100. You're not always going to be kind. You're not always going to be sweet. The perfect words aren't always going to come out of your mouth. You're not always going to make people feel the way that you should have made them feel, empowered and loved and at peace. You might have been causing them trouble. You might have been the one to hurt them. Give yourself forgiveness and knowing that you get the next day to try again, and the next day to try again. And guess what? All of those seeds that you have planted throughout the years, they do sprout. And I'm living testimony that they do. And those were just 2 stories that I shared with you today that really tells you they do happen. Have a great day. Keep loving you, keep doing you, keep just being you, one moment at a time, one day at a time. We'll see you when we see you. Thank you for listening.